Boo, Jason. Don't spoil the party here. We love it, the Fab Five, whatever you want to call it. You're not a believer in that story?
Look, it's more about controlling the risks and having an investment discipline. If we want to invest, we need to take advantage of valuations where they do exist. And right now, those valuations, I think Mike pointed it out, they are expensive in those areas. Are they at the absolute peak that we saw in 1999? No, it's probably about 2/3 of the way there by our measures. But if you look across the broad market, there are a ton of opportunities to get decent growth at reasonable valuations, good profitability, good investments for a longer term time frame. So we'd recommend that investors take an approach of, if you have the winners, great, that's wonderful that you have them. Pare back some of those winners back to more reasonable levels. Put your money into the rest of the market, parts of the market that have similar profitability, growth stories that you can actually get behind and own over a longer time frame and be a little bit more comfortable with the valuations. That doesn't mean you don't own.
Let's go to what used to be called,
manage the risks.
Jason, these stocks used to be called GARP, right? Growth at the right price is what you're talking about. Where are they?
Look, you can find things like that in healthcare and consumer staples and industrials within the large cap space. If you go outside the large cap space, I think there's a lot of opportunity in smaller capitalization stocks. You get much more reasonable valuations. And if you actually are willing to, you can go abroad. There are some very interesting opportunities abroad, even ones that attach to the AI theme, particularly within Japan. Japan is a market that even today is still undervalued, is driving earnings higher, has that profitability behind it, and is trading at more reasonable valuations.
Let's talk a little bit about small caps, because people have been talking about them being poised to move, and that there's opportunity there. And I have no doubt there is. There are a lot of them. But why haven't they been able to get any traction here? And what do you think a catalyst is going to be to make that happen, other than just, well, it's been a long time and then suddenly a light goes off and people start to buy them?
Look, I think part of it is that small caps is kind of a catch-all sort of categorization. There are about 3,000 stocks in that category that span everything from very unprofitable companies to good, profitable, solid businesses that are just smaller market capitalization. Many of those businesses, on average, have a little bit of debt, and I think we've been going through a cycle here where, because of the floating rate nature of the debt that they have on their balance sheets, they've actually been facing an earnings headwind. That is changing as we go into 2024, and is going to be changing materially in the back half of this year, to the point where earnings growth from small cap stocks will likely surpass that of large cap stocks and perk the interests of investors.
These small caps came up as well last hour, Mike. What do you make of the arguments for looking there that we could have a massive leadership change a la 99 to Post.com?
Well, what happened from 99 into Post.com was the dot-com crash. I just don't think that those types of transitions necessarily happen on the fly. If there were a way to look back at an example when that did work, it would be 94 into 95. And what did that mean? That meant a slow and orderly Fed easing cycle after an internal correction in the broad stock market that hurt small caps a lot. And when investors got confidence that the Fed was able to ease into an expansion. It's a lot has to go right. I think the one thing I always would draw out of the recent action is that we shouldn't assign small caps any special prescience about the macro. We don't have to say, oh, the Russell's not performing, must be bad for the economy. I mean, it's been years now. The economy's been fine, and the Russell 2000 has been dead money.
Indeed. We'll leave it there. Mike Santoli, Jason Pride, thank you both.
Thanks for having me.